Oh, hello there. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. In this delicious episode, the build of the RB26 240Z S30 Datsun Nissan continues.
Welcome to another episode of 240Zs with turbos that are big but not too big.
That's right, because we want it to be drivable. Before we kick on and tell you what we're doing today, I just have to bring this over. I just need to show everybody what's been going on here.
So pretty.
Look at this. Look at this action, people.
Yeah.
It's like super exciting.
And it fits.
Yes, it does fit, and it's not even a Honda. Now today, Martin, we are getting onto some cooling, aren't we? Now Turbo Yoda is back down again. Benny has gone to Japan. And I don't think he's even gone to get stuff for us. I think he's gone to get stuff for himself.
I think he might come and surprise us with something.
He might get
us
us
have
something.
this feeling that that's going to happen. We've got a few extra bits to put on. Like, we don't have an intake manifold yet, so we need to get that.
Don't have front mount yet, so we've got to get that.
We've got to make these hoses fit. They're from various other RB engines. Alan's got some clever ways of making that work.
And today we've got to drop the fuel tank because we've got a new pump to go in there.
High pressure pump, because these are carby and they have low pressure pump.
There's a whole bunch of stuff coming. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to get put on the car. It's going to be an epic day, and we're all pretty excited about it, aren't we? Our first job of the day is to remove the wheels and tyres because we'll be replacing them later. And we need to remove the splash guard to get access to the fuel filler tube so we can drop the tank, because we'll also be upgrading the fuel system. Not only does this car have like the coolest key ever, because it's got like the Nissan Z on it, which is freaking awesome. This is something that I've never seen before. Not only does it have the Ibiza light that we've never seen before, but look at this. It's got a courtesy flap so you don't dribble all down the side of it. Have you ever seen a courtesy flap, Marty?
No.
Look at this. So basically you stick that in there, when you pull it out,
Oh, man.
that comes out so that you don't dribble all over everything.
Why don't they do that in new cars?
I don't know. I don't know why they don't do that.
And a lockable cap's cool too. Yeah, people used to siphon back in the day, like in fuel crisis, you'd go and siphon people's petrol because there was no petrol.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, lockable's good. Did all your bits of brake fall out of like the brake drum?
My rear brake drum was like a pinata.
Because
It's like I pulled it out and just stuff fell out everywhere.
because we have here somewhere the new.
It's in that long box from
so we got the
Japan.
new non-asbestos shoes,
Yeah.
but all the brake hardware that attaches this to the car, most of it's like within the drum,
And some of it's in this box.
and then we have to put this back together. But the problem is the pistons on the rear brakes have popped out of their little home,
Oh, good.
so we've got to check the seals, put all that back together. It's dirty, man. It's so grotty and dirty back there. So either gloves or rags or something. I've never seen fancy brake shoes before. Have you?
Not like that.
I've never seen like.
Not such like a crazy red colour either.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm surprised that they make them for. I mean, they could also just be standard ones painted blue or green, whatever colour that is.
That's true. That probably
Someone in
wouldn't
the comments will tell us whether it's blue or green.
wouldn't be that surprising.
Cool. Well, that's a pair and that's a pair.
So we have to empty the fuel tank before we take it out, and it occurred to us that there might actually be a little bit of fuel in there. So we're going to collect it, because then we can run our little JDM Honda Moto Compos with it, which is pretty exciting. So let's see if there's actually anything in there. It's kind of like a JDM Mad Max, isn't it, Marty?
This car.
No, like stealing fuel from one vehicle to stick it in another vehicle.
Those fuel tanks strapped onto the back is something you don't see in like a lot of... Look at the colour of it. It's totally clear, man.
I was just thinking it's pretty awesome we got this free fuel from the previous owner, but then I remembered that we are the previous owner, because we broke down on the side of the road because we had no fuel.
We just ran out of fuel in our mad car.
Man, I was so excited driving it that I didn't even look at the fuel gauge. And this is the fuel that we put in it. So we've actually paid for this already, Marty. This is like our fuel, and we're just getting it back.
Now we need to go put in the mirror because it'll be expecting that kind of fuel.
Oh, imagine that. Dude, we should just dish this out very judiciously in all of our mad JDM vehicles. Is that illegal?
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
We won't
I'm
do
pretty
that.
sure there's supposed to be a fuel tax on that or something.
Is there?
But I mean, it's residual. They can drain it, but they can't drain all of it. So there's always going to be a little bit.
Our S30 didn't come with a fuel pump, so we're adding one to feed our RB26 with petrol and maybe even some ethanol. To do this, we need to drop the whole tank, make sure it's up to the task, and then later on, we'll be modifying it to run a more modern, performance-oriented fuel delivery system.
While we get the tank cleaned up and work out what bits need to go into it, we're finishing off our wastegate piping. It's made from stainless steel 2-inch pipe and has a flex joint welded in so that the pipes can grow and shrink as they change temperature without any cracking. The GFB external gate has a V-band clamp that makes it easy to take on and off, as well as reposition to get the angles right. That gets tacked into place, then the turbo comes back off the manifold. Next, the turbo and manifold are reinstalled back into the engine bay. They're going in one at a time as there isn't quite enough space to get them onto the side of the head together. Clearance for the pipes are then checked and we can finish off the dump pipe, which we're fitting with a billet stainless steel 2-bolt flange.
Well, this is pretty exciting because our new custom tail shaft has arrived. Now, this has actually been made out of the front section of a R34 Skyline shaft, and it's basically just been chopped there and adapted so it's going to fit our diff.
Exactly. So on that end, you've got R34 Skyline yoke to fit in the back of the gearbox because it's a bit different from the one that's from the original engine. But the bit that is the same, because for now we're using the standard diff just to get it working, probably have to upgrade him later. What they've done is they've adapted this shaft to that pattern so that it bolts in and then it's the right length. The length is really close.
Yeah, like it's slightly different. You can probably see if we hold these up.
Because the gearbox is probably a bit longer from the R34 than the original one. It's a lot fatter as well, and so is that shaft. Like you can probably see the diameter too if you go that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot fatter. It'll hold more power, which is a good thing.
Yeah. So I'm going to put this on, and you can continue your battle with those rear brakes.
Battle with the brakes.
The new drive shaft slips into the back of the R34 Skyline gearbox, and the other end bolts up to the diff. And this is what makes time travel and KFC drive-thrus possible. Later on, we'll investigate updating the rear end, including an upgraded diff. But for now, we just need to get the car working, and then we can address the other aspects once we know that it's successfully running the RB26. With that done, now I've got to go shopping for an air filter. And I've also just got to go and get a bunch of other random stuff like some hoses, some clamps, a battery. What are you buying, man? You buying some wheel covers?
Yeah.
That's sick.
Too much.
Can I buy them for you? I got it. No, man, I've got it. Seriously. Yeah. I got it. Thanks, Mum. There we go.
Oh, my God.
There you go. No worries, man. Have fun. Have fun with your wheel covers. 15-inch, you'll be cruising like a boss, man. No worries, man.
I don't know what to say right now, you know.
Oh, this is you over here?
Yeah, the compressor, yeah.
Did you see our WRX vs Evo series?
Yeah.
That looks great, man.
Any mighty come on, stick on the back.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yes. All right, man, I got to run. There's a 240 to build. Awesome build. Awesome day. Awesome crew. See you, buddy. With my shopping done, now it's time to get back to the shed and plumb up our radiator.
So I've been down to Supercheap and grabbed pretty much every hose they have for an RB or RD series engine. Now the radiator, we had to shave a little bit to make it fit, but that's in the right spot. The outlets are roughly where we need them. Yep. How are we going on the engine side?
So we ended up using some R31 Skyline hoses, which is like an Australian built. It was like the last Skyline that we got in Australia
80s,
with the RB30,
right?
yeah, late 80s.
An RB30 single overhead cam 3 litre.
Yes,
same kind of thing. And people put these on them and turn them into big monsters, or they bore them to 3 litres or something?
Yeah, they also, the 3 litre engine single cam's quite good as well. The VL boys in Australia use them. So, but they're not 100% right, but they're close enough that we can trim them and give them a little tweak. And
because we need to get intercooler pipe and inlet around here as well, so that's why it dips down.
Dips down into there. So we're just going to do some trimming and a little bit of manipulation, and I think it should work okay.
And there's heaps of room for the bottom hose too.
Yeah, the bottom hose is all right as well. Just needs a little bit taken off it to It's just kinking a little bit there, so I'm going to trim a bit off.
Yep.
And then it'll come up, pull it further forward, and it'll be fine.
Nice, because the other option is to start moving outlets, which works but can look a bit rough, right?
It's better not to do it if you don't have to.
Yeah. Cool. Well, let's attach them.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi there.
How you going, boys?
That'll work nicely.
It's all right.
Happy with that?
Yep.
Can we chop the bottom one?
The alternative to this method is to make up some hard pipes out of metal tube. But there are so many radiator hose combinations out there, it's often much easier to grab a few, chop up the ones that work and return the extras. If you need to, make up a template before you head to the shops. We're then welding on an AN fitting for our turbo water return. With our hoses sorted, it's time to chop our turbo. Because of the tight spacing with the engine bay, we're going to weld on an aluminium flange onto the turbo compressor cover. This means we can use good quality clamps with less chance of a silicone joiner blowing out and costing us power. With the fitting on, we can put the turbo back together and clock it to the right orientation.
We are up to a very, very exciting part of the build. Alan has blessed this with his yodeling goodness. His yodeling goodness. I'd love to hear that. A turbo. Sorry about that. Anyway, this is it. This is the exciting part where this goes on for the very last time. And you may be wondering, if you're familiar with RB26s, why we're using a single turbo instead of twin turbo. And there's a couple of answers to that question, of which my good friend will answer the first one. And that is, it's a pain in the arse, isn't it? Can you tell us all about what it's like working on the twin turbo setup?
Yeah, so the twin turbos were designed in 1988 or something like that. It's impressive engineering, but it's the plumbing on them is just out of this world. Like, it's mind-boggling how complicated it all is to get the water cooling and the oil in and out and that sort of thing.
Because we're also double everything. So double oil, double coolant, double dump pipe, double air filter.
All very tight, and they've got little bends and stuff to make it miss everything. And it looks great. Twin turbo's cool. Two's better than one, whatever. But
except it's not.
Except it's not, yeah. Also, the original turbos are like 80s turbos, so they're very low tech. So back then, there probably wasn't even any such thing as a turbo that could make as much power as those two turbos could, that was big in a single form. Like, anything would have been just a truck turbo, which were very lazy, and it wouldn't have had the response that the engine was built to have.
Yeah.
So that's why they used to use twin turbos, because they could get small turbos, because that was more automotive application stuff, double them up, they could get it to work. It was just complicated. So these days, we've got turbos like this that are ball bearing, very light turbines, good aerodynamics. So the technology has come so far.
Because this is current technology.
Yeah, that's the latest Garrett turbine and compressor design. So it all makes a difference, and leaps and bounds since 1988.
Yeah.
That turbo is way better than the pair of twins that it was originally on the engine.
Yeah, and I think that's the important consideration as well. Some people think, well, if there was two and now you've only got one, have you got half as much turbo? But that's not actually the case at all, because the factory twins are much smaller and potentially not as efficient as this. But that has been an argument since the dawn of the dong of the dinosaur. It's just been going for a long time. Some people also say they don't like the feel of twin turbos, and other people say single turbo is not pure.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing.
Our single turbo is on, which is a huge milestone for our build. Next, it's time to remove the front wheels so we can take them down to the tyre shop. Now your wheel choice can make or break your car, and there are so many options depending on how aggressive you want to go, how much bling you're after, and how period specific you need to be. Now the car came with a set of 15-inch Watanabes, and they suit the look of the Z perfectly. They're in amazing condition and we love them, so that is exactly the way it's going to stay. We are going to upgrade the tyres though, because we don't know their history other than the fact that we did a lot of skids on them. The standard JDM tyres are getting binned, and we're replacing them with a set of Potenza RE003s that Bridgestone sent us for our build. These are a track-oriented, street-legal tyre, and that fits the bill perfectly for what the future holds for this car. With the new wheels and tyres balanced up, we can install the fronts. We'll leave the rears off until we finish the fuel tank.
As with most custom turbo installations, an important part is getting oil and water in and out of the turbo, not through the same hose. We're using hose made out of Teflon, covered with a steel braid, which is then covered with a material braid so it's tough, chemical resistant, and won't rub through everything it touches. It can take the high pressures required for an oil feed and comes in various sizes to suit the application. It's really handy to learn how to use this kind of thing with only some basic hand tools required to make them up to the specs that you need. You can also buy adapters to get from whatever the fitting size is on the side of your engine and your turbo into the AN fittings that comes with this system.
It's been another huge day on the old Fairlady Z. Our turbo is on and now has oil lines. Our radiator's plumbed up, fuel tank removed, our custom drive shaft is installed, the dump pipe's finished, and we've got new tyres. Next time on Mighty Car Mods, we sort out our fuel system and a bunch of new parts arrive that we need to finish off this build.